Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
What a beautiful crowd. You good?
Always.
Cool, gotcha. My name is Steve Tompkins. I'm the Sheriff of Suffolk County. First and foremost, I want to thank each and every one of you for showing up today. We think this initiative is crucially important to the furtherance of helping individuals in our community help themselves in whatever way we can. We run the House of Correction here, and I think it's incumbent upon us to help correct situations. This is not a place where you store boxes. Unfortunately, this is a place where people go when they have to pay their debt to society. That said, we're going to work in tandem with our federal, state, local partners, the mayor's office, and others to make sure that we come forth with programming that makes sense. We want to interrupt that school to prison pipeline and replace it with a cradle to career pipeline. I believe you will get, Sandy, where are you, Sandy? Did they have the programs, the 4 programs? You got them? And so you've received some information about 4 programs that we've put together that we really believe helps a lot. And that's what we have to do. This is not your grandfather's incarceration facility any longer. As we all know, this country incarcerates far too many of its citizens and far too many black and brown and poor citizens. And so this initiative is one way to address that situation. As we all know, the human brain doesn't fully mature until you're 25 or 26 years old. And so we decided to put this unit together to work with the 18 to 25-year-old cohort to basically say to them that we've got some resources that we want to make available to each and every one of you gentlemen and to the ladies that are here so that you have a fighting chance of, one, not coming back here, but more importantly, staying outside of these walls, staying with your friends, your families, your kids if you have them. And so that's what today is all about. Now we've got a few people that are going to come up and they're going to keep it really brief remarks about what it is that we're doing and why we're doing it. And then we're going to have a few of the gentlemen that are in the P.E.A.C.E unit. They're also going to talk about their experiences. And I believe you guys have some of your families here, yes? Yes. So family members, thank you family for showing up. We really appreciate that. Give the families a round of applause. So that's what the P.E.A.C.E unit is about. Years ago, Mike Harris, our special sheriff, came to me with an idea about having a program, something similar in nature, after he had visited Ireland, I believe it was Ireland, right, Mike? And was introduced to this concept. Sitting next to him is Vinny Schiraldi, by way of Harvard and Columbia, but he's my fellow New York brother, who knows a lot about this industry and this initiative and the concept. And he's going to talk about that a little bit. Down to the far end, we have the DA, the new DA-elect, Rachel Rollins. Give it up. Come on, come on, come on. And there, as they always say, a man who needs no introduction, but I'm going to do that anyway, is our mayor, Martin J. Walsh. Please give it up for the mayor. And let me say this. First of all, Peter Forbes from DYS is a little ill today, so he couldn't make it. We're waiting for Judge Carey to come through so that she can have some comments if she can make it. There are a lot of our social service partners, law enforcement agencies, and others in the room, and so I want to thank you for coming also. I'm going to yield the mic to Mike Harris, and he's going to bring you up to speed. He's going to dig a little bit deeper into what it is that we're doing today.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Especially good morning, you fellas. You know, again, like I told you before, it's highlighted my week. We get to spend some time with you guys. So, you know, I'm really thrilled to be here and see this. And just speaking directly to you guys, I know I've sat there and said to you, you know, it's funny how life slices out. And I know my own circumstances growing up the city, and I know other people in the room, including the mayor, you know, when you grow up in the neighborhoods in the city, there but for the grace of God, you know, the roles could be reversed. And the sheriff speak, and I'm thinking, I'm sitting here next to the mayor, and this could be you. If life didn't shake different for me than it did for you. But life can still slice right for you, but it's up to you. And that's what we're all about, and that's why we're here. I just want to briefly say, and the sheriff mentioned, I got the notion on this programming unit 4 years ago, and I did this program. I was invited to participate in this program through Dr. Bob Morrow from Boston College. I know Bob's here. Bob, where are you? Could you just stand up for a second?
Give Bob a hand. BC graduate, BC guy.
So Dr. Morrow is the director of the Global Leadership Institute at Boston College, and they do some amazing work. And he had put us together by chance. He asked us to host folks from the Northern Ireland Correction System to come over there and have us show them some of their best practices and all these things. And you know, fortunately, we brought in Deputy Governor Richard Taylor, and came over here to show us the best practices. And he was actually amazed on how we did things on these economies of scale, you know, with so many things and the function and the cost. But it wasn't until I got to Ireland, I thought, you know, we work very hard to do things right here. I know in Suffolk County, and I know you fellas know that. Is when I had the good fortune to go to Ireland and see how they did things a little bit different. And I was introduced to this notion of, you know, young adults and treating them different. You know, there's not a one-size-fit-all for any type of fix anywhere really in this world. There's a lot of unique circumstances for everybody and everybody in the room. But what we do know is young adults and young adult offenders, there are different circumstances. I'm not going to get into the science. We've got Vin Schiraldi, who, after 4 years ago when I came back, I met Vin Schiraldi, and he's really a leading voice on this. He's helped us, and they're going to continue to help us. The one thing that I briefly would like to leave the audience with today, you know, I want you to, we're all familiar with this notion now of diversion programs, and it's tremendously effective, and it's been effective. And the Sheriff's Department's been talking about diversion for 15 years. I know Sheriff Tompkins, since he's been sheriff, he's been talking about it. And I think in our criminal justice system now, we've done tremendous with a lot of diversion things. We used to say, and it was a cliche, and I want to take credit that we coined it here. I'm sure I stole it from somewhere else. But we always say, there were too many people in our jails that need not be here. You know, and that's still true today. There's some folks that need not be here. But I think we've done a pretty good job with diversion on getting those folks out and keeping them out and getting them into better circumstances to address the ills that got them into criminal offender behavior. But with that notion, we can't lose sight of, there's a lot of folks that do need to be here and should be here. And honestly, fellas, you know that some of the things that you've done here, there's really no other recourse in our system but to have put you here. The answer lies in what we do together while you're here. Right? So I want to say today, this is not diversion, this is immersion. We've got a program that we're doing by design and learning with these fellows and helping us, and it's full immersion into reentry, to really get these folks to really put people into a situation where they can really transform the trajectory of their life when they get out. And you know, I don't want to steal the thunder, but some of the things we've been working on over the years, and with the DA-elect's predecessor, Dan Conley, we're moving forward, and I'm going to let the DA-elect talk to a little bit about. But we're so happy and so lucky to have somebody like her with us now that wants to talk about where we can actually, you know, potentially revise and revoke and get rid of those felony convictions if people successfully complete this program, so that you really get out and you're free of the burdens. We know what a felony conviction is. It can hit you like a club, right? No matter how hard you want to try to get ahead. If that felony conviction is still there, it's an obstacle. We want to try to find ways around that, and that's part of this and how this program will continue to grow. So again, I'll close on this because I have to be brief. I could talk all day. I'm passionate about this. I'm so blessed that we have a sheriff and Sheriff Tompkins that realizes this and places value in it and supports this type of initiative. Fellas, we're going to do this, and we're going to do it with your help. And remember, it's a hand to help you up. It's not a handout. It's up to what you do going forward. So thank you, and again, immersion, not diversion.
I just want to take a quick moment to give a shout out to our, well, not so new anymore, Police Commissioner, Mr. William Gross in the house! You know, I've been taking the task for saying what I'm about to say, but I think it's important. So for the first time in Suffolk County history, you have an African-American police commissioner, you have an African-American district attorney, and an African-American sheriff. And I say this, I highlight that for this reason. A lot of us have walked in the same shoes. This is not to discount an Irish sheriff or a police commissioner or DA or an Italian, anything. It's not even about that. What it's about is, for me personally, I grew up in a single-parent household, in the projects. Mom suffered with alcohol abuse. I get it. I could so easily be sitting where you gentlemen are. But I'm here, and my job is to make sure that you don't return, that your families don't come here. And it's incumbent upon Willie and Rachel, the mayor, myself, and others to make sure that we create the opportunities to make sure that doesn't happen. So when we're in your communities and we're reaching out to you and we're asking for your help, we need your help. We really need your help. Now, you know, the thing that I've heard a lot is the white man won't let me do this, or the white man, well, that's not the case now. And so if you don't help us, then you're going to get the government that you deserve. So I'm asking for your help. With that said, let me bring Mr. Vincent Schiraldi to the microphone and talk about what it is that we're doing and how he's been mightily helpful. Please give him a round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? So I met Sheriff Tompkins when I was Commissioner of Probation and got involved with this executive session on community corrections at Harvard. And him and me and Molly Baldwin from Roca, I know there's Roca in the house, right?
Yes.
There you are. We started talking about a lot of ways that the system could be different, and we gravitated towards young adults, particularly because of Roca's work and terrific work in that area. And we really just started kind of coming up with a whole bunch of ideas. So this, to me anyway, I know that Mike's got his whole Irish thing going on, you know, so that's always going to be there. But like, this is, you know, we started talking about this then, and then Mike started coming to the executive sessions. We started meeting, talking about, you know, could there be a unit? How could that work itself out? And, you know, they didn't jump right into it. They wanted to be really super thoughtful about it. I toured the unit today, and I want to, you know, I want to give credit to the staff that was there that I met today, the mentors, and the people on the unit. I mean, everybody's working hard to make this work. Nothing starts perfect. It didn't start perfect, but it's evolved to a place that every single person I asked, and I pulled a bunch of people aside, so it wasn't just saying it in front of the tour guide, they were all saying that this is a better place if you got to do time. Not that you want to do time, but if you got to do time, it's a better place to do it, and you have opportunities that you just wouldn't have in another situation. The research on this is super clear. Young people are actually different than adults. Like, every parent knows this. People with PhDs spend a lot of time figuring out what every parent knows, but young people are, they're less future oriented, they're more volatile and emotionally charged settings, they are more peer influenced, and they are greater risk takers, especially when they're around other peers. They are peer influenced. And so those things aren't their fault as young people. We were that way when we were young people, and you grow out of that. But your ability to grow out of that is dramatically affected by what happens to you when you're young. It's not just you get older, and no matter what we do to you, you're going to be fine. No, if we put you in horrible conditions, if we make, you know, you be in a jail system where you're surrounded by more sophisticated and more violent other inmates, then there's going to be a problem, and we should expect what we get when folks come out. And what we get now, by and large, when folks come out of most jails that are young, is the worst outcomes in the jail system. We get highest recidivism rates. In Massachusetts, this isn't just nationally, in Massachusetts, the opioid overdose rate for 18 to 25-year-olds is 10 times the rate of people who are 45 years and older coming out of jail. So it's already, the opioid overdose rates are astonishingly higher, and Sheriff Tompkins has written about this. For everybody coming out of jail, for young adults, it's 10 times as high. So we can't let that, we just can't let that happen. We can't just say, oh, well, yeah, they're young, they're going to do bad stuff. And Sheriff Tompkins has stepped up to the plate and said, we're going to make a difference in that space. What I saw today was, to me, people were looking me in the eye. They didn't, you know, it wasn't that kind of stress and tension you feel in a lot of cell blocks. There were people working, everybody was programming, and it was a really terrific thing to see. I'll say one or two more things and then I'll be completely done. I think Massachusetts is at the front of the pack in terms of addressing the issues that young adults are facing. There was a bunch of legislative activity on it last year. The state almost raised the age of its juvenile court to either 19 or 21. I think those are going to come back again this year. Sheriff Tompkins stood up front of the pack and said, I support that, even though he was At the same time creating this unit, he was also supporting a legislative change. So I think that that's about what I want to say. Most young adults are going to grow out of crime. They just need the opportunities to grow up. Education, vocational resources reduce recidivism. There's plenty of them on the unit. Family engagement is super important. I'm thrilled that family members are here today. That's very important in terms of young people being able to turn their lives around when they come out of jail. But make no mistake, this is absolutely about public safety. It's about helping people turn their lives around, and that is all about public safety. If young people come out of jail angry and bitter and abused, nothing good is going to come of that. And I applaud Sheriff Tompkins and Mike Harris and the whole department for stepping up to the plate and doing something about that. Thank you all.
So the beauty about having Vinny here is Vinny's an authority on this, and he knows what he's talking about, but equally as important, he can also introduce us to other resources that's going to help us continue this program. And I'd like to give his partner, I was going to say partner in crime, but this is probably the wrong place to say that, but his partner in this mission for getting this done is Miss Leo Chester. Please give her a hand. So, you know, Peace Unit, I love it when people take these letters and make a word out of it and then it stands for something. I never got it, but anyway. So Peace Unit, positive energy always creates elevation. Say that again. Positive energy always creates elevation. And a lot of people would say there is no positive energy inside of an incarceration facility. And boy, are they wrong. God bless you. Are they wrong? There's a lot of positive energy here, and we're working collaboratively to make sure that that positive energy results in positive outcomes. Peter Forbes from DYS, unfortunately, is a little ill, so he couldn't make it today, but I do want to give a shout out to Janelle Ridley, who's sitting back there, who's working on a program, a hybrid program between the Department of Youth Services and the Boston Public Schools. And it's really important that we have those initiatives in place so that we can continue to get the data that we need, to get the information, and equally as important, the support that we need so that we can then offer that to the folk that are here. So in Peter's absence, I'd like to bring to the microphone next our DA-elect, Ms. Rachel Rollins. Please give her a hand.
Thank you so much, Sheriff Tompkins. I want to just speak for a brief second, a little bit about my background and to just reiterate what many of the people have said earlier. Although I'm really proud to be standing here as your DA-elect, the last time I was here, I was on a panel with other candidates who are running for this office, but the time before that, I was visiting one of my siblings who was incarcerated here. I want the people in this audience to hear me say that although I have many degrees and I am going to be the next district attorney, I have siblings that have served time here federally in the Department of Corrections. I have siblings that are struggling with opioid addiction right now. I am the guardian of 2 nieces who are in DCF custody. I don't have parole or probation oversight, but I have DCF oversight in my life. It's not pleasant, I can share that with you, but I can tell you that I will bring that every day to work as the DA. That lived experience I have, I understand the struggles that many of you have faced or are facing right now. And I think that's an important lens that many people on this panel have, many more than you would think. So that's my background a little bit. But as your DA, I'm really proud to say that I want to talk about the Peace Unit as a sentencing tool, potentially when I start after January 2nd. And I do want to discuss or be in communication to use it with respect to revising and revoking. And so those are things that I know people have mentioned. District Attorney Conley, there's currently the DA Pappas, who I do want to make sure I acknowledge. He is the sitting DA right now. But when I take office on January 2nd, 2019, for sure, those are going to be things that we're doing. And the last thing I just want to say is I'm really proud of the fact that I get to have Commissioner Gross, who says out loud, cuffs as a last resort. And I'm proud that as your district attorney, I want incarceration as a last resort. And that the sheriff is starting this, almost first of its kind unit here. And I'm proud to say, Sheriff, that there is not a female unit because happily we don't have enough women, which we don't want in this age group, but that we need to make sure we're not forgetting that there are women that are behind the wall as well, and that we are taking care of them often. But I'm proud to sit here and say that the commissioner always says cuffs is a last resort. I'm going to say incarceration is a last resort, and the sheriff is working to not have people here. But we all know that there are certain circumstances with respect to violence and other things where people are going to have to be removed from the community to keep it safe, but we want what's best with you when you're there, because 95% of the people we incarcerate come back to the community. We want you healthy. We want you employable, and we don't want you seared or branded with a felony that's not going to permit you to get housing or a job. So I'm really proud to be here. Thank you for your time.
So I'd like you to join me in giving a warm welcome to our former state senator, Miss Linda Dorsino-Forey in the house. When I think about this country, I think about the Pledge of Allegiance. And the words that jump out at me: one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The reason I bring that up is because we are one nation, but we're a divided nation. And we've got some things at play, more down in D.C. than up here, that's causing us to be even more divided. We can't have that. It's probably the president calling me now, telling me to stop talking. But I'm going to talk about it anyway, because this country is too great, and there are too many good things here. And if the United States is the biggest, baddest dog on the planet, frankly, we shouldn't have this homelessness situation that we have. We shouldn't have this opiate situation that we have. And we shouldn't have as many of our citizens incarcerated as we have. And so liberty and justice has not been afforded to all of our citizens. And we really need to think about that. And we need to do something about that. Now, you noticed in this last election that we just had, there was a sea change, and the pendulum is swinging back. And in 2020 and 2022, I think that's going to continue. Because as the president is fond of saying, let's make America great again, America is great. What I say is, let's make America sane again, because we've lost our way. With that said, I want to bring to the microphone a good friend of mine, a good friend of the department, and a mayor that I think is doing some extraordinary things in his 5 years thus far as mayor for the remainder of this term. And if he runs for mayor next or whatever he does next, he's going to be that public advocate to make sure that citizens that he has governance over is going to get the services that they need. Please welcome our mayor, Martin J. Walsh.
Thank you, Sheriff, and I want to thank the Sheriff and his team for the incredible work they do. Ever since he's become Sheriff, and he worked here before that, I've spent more time in this room talking about programs that are trying to help the people that are being housed here. He cares. He cares about you. He cares about all the people that walk through the front door, and he doesn't want to see you except doing positive things when you walk out the front door. And he tries every single day to think about what he can do to improve the lives of people, and I truly appreciate that. Not everyone is doing the same thing. Not everyone has the same heart as he does. I was a state rep before this, and I watched the different House of Corrections around the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and some did some good stuff, and some didn't do great stuff, and some didn't naturally care about the people inside there, and Steve Tompkins does. And thank you, Sheriff Tompkins, for having us here again today. I want to thank Mike Harris, who I've known for an awful long time. Clearly, he's passionate about this issue, and it's funny that he heard of this program in Ireland. A lot of people don't understand the complexities of Ireland, particularly in the north, and what happens with the conflicts in Ireland and the comparisons to what's happening in cities in America. And the issue might be different, but the philosophy is the same. And I want to thank Michael for bringing that here. I want to thank Vinnie Schiraldi as well for his words and his insight. And the new district attorney, Rachel Rawlings, I look forward to, and we all look forward to working with her. During the campaign, she got in a little heat, and I hope she doesn't mind me bringing this up, because she was talking about, she wasn't talking about not prosecuting people, but she was talking about giving people a chance. And when you have programs like this, it allows the district attorney to have options when it comes in front of the judge time, in front of the court. And it allows the district attorney to give options, knowing that there might be somebody that's being prosecuted that did something bad, but there are circumstances that not everyone knows about. Drug addiction, alcoholism, mental illness, abandonment, a whole bunch of different things. And I want to thank her for raising that conversation, elevating that conversation, because it is important. So thank you, District Attorney, for that. I also want to give a shout out to a man that I love and respect, and that's our Police Commissioner, Willie Grass, who has worked his way through the Boston Police Department, started as a cadet, and worked his way up and to become the commissioner of the police department, and who does care. And you know, the motto that we talk about is lifting people up, not locking people up, and that's what we do every single day. So I want to thank the police commissioner and the office lady here tonight. I also want to give a shout out to, we have a state representative who comes in here and helps people with financial planning. And he cares deeply about his constituents and his community. And again, he also wants to make life better for people. And that's State Representative Russell Holmes with us. Thank you, Russell. And I could probably name every single person in this room, so I'm not going to go in there. And I want to thank the press for covering this event today. It is really important that we get some good, positive stories out about what's happening here inside the four walls of this facility. I'm proud of the partnership with the Peace Unit. It's an honor that the highest mission of what correction should be is to rehabilitate, to heal, to provide second chances, and that's important that people get an opportunity for second chances, because I'm going to speak for a minute to you guys. You made a mistake. You're here. You're serving your time, as the sheriff said. At some point when you get released, that opportunity for a second chance needs to be there. Sometimes that second chance opportunity is controversial. But if we don't allow somebody the opportunity for a second chance, then what do? We might as well just lock them up for the rest of their life and say, well, you can't go out in the street anymore because we don't want you. And that's what the talk of today is. So it's one step is creating this great program. The second step is really allowing real opportunity for second chances for people. We can't just say it in one breath and not do it in the other breath. By doing this, we're making our community safer. If we want what's best for our neighbors and our city and our residents, especially those who struggle, we need to continue to move forward. If you're here when you were younger, if it's not your first time here, you made mistakes. And you made other mistakes. And so a lot of people, I know a lot of people I know a couple people in here right now that are friends of mine. That not in front of me here today, but they're in this building. And they're not here visiting. They're a guest. And I know that they've made some mistakes, and I know that their families are hurting on the outside, and as your families are hurting on the inside and outside. We need to make sure that we continue to help you, because you might not have gotten the best start in life. Many people that are here need support of getting their life back on track. And our job is, as was mentioned, Vincent mentioned it, is helping provide that, and the sheriff mentioned that, providing that opportunity. Some people need to spend time in this facility, but use it as a time for growth. Use it as an opportunity. The words that are being said here today aren't words. We didn't decide to come here today to fill in an hour timeline, because any one of us could have done a lot of other things today. If we didn't care about the people that are here, we wouldn't be here today. I want you to think about that. I know some people are listening and thinking like, oh, they're full of it. We're not. Mike Harris wouldn't have put the time into creating this program. The sheriff wouldn't have put the time into understanding this program. The new district attorney, she has an office set up right now. The police commission, so many other folks that are here. Danny Mulhern from Office of Public Safety. Partners Healthcare is here. Roca's here. We have so many opportunities here. We're here because we care. That's why we're here today. Your family's here today because they care. Because they're praying that when you get out, your life is on a different pathway. They're praying that when you get out, if you have a drug addiction, that you get it to help work on it outside of here, not just while you're here. They pray that when you get out of here, that the chaos and they're not getting that phone call that you've been locked up again, or worse than that, you might have lost your life. Your family cares about you, and your people care about you, your community cares about you. And if you think no one cares about you, your mayor cares about you, your sheriff cares about you, your district attorney cares about you, your police commissioner cares about you, and the city of Boston cares about you. And that's why we're all here today. I'm completely way off my script. The mission of this P.E.A.C.E unit is learning skills, getting ready for school and work, getting mentorships that everyone needs, figuring out who you really are and who you really want to be. We honor potential, and young men are going to speak in a few minutes, and I look forward to hearing the young men talking. But it's about changing habits, and it's hard. Changing habits is hard. Whether it's in recovery or reentry, it's about listening, about learning, about focusing on what's right to do the next thing. Mike Harris talked a little bit about growing up and a couple different, but for the grace of God, a couple different mistakes. We grew up in the same neighborhood. He's a lot older than me. But I'm not going to go into my story, but my story is pretty simple. I grew up not too far from this building. Grew up down in Dorchester. Somewhere along the line, I started drinking. I didn't want to drink the way I was drinking. And that drinking took me down a whole road that I didn't want to go down, where I ended up in a detox. I probably could have ended up someplace different any night that I was drinking, because I blacked out almost every night that I drank. And I have no idea what happened when the blackout happened, from the blackout to waking up in my bed, if it was my bed, the next morning. I had no idea what happened in that timeline. Sometimes that timeline was 5 hours, sometimes that timeline was 10 hours, sometimes I had no idea how I got to where I got to. Sometimes my knuckles were busted, sometimes my little bust in my head, and I wonder what happened. I ended up going to detox, and when I was in detox, I had pajamas on, pretty much like what you're wearing today, but didn't have peace on it. And I'm sitting there going, how did I get here? Because I had dreams and aspirations in my life. I wanted to be in politics. I wanted to be the mayor. I wanted to be a state representative. I wanted to be something, but I didn't want to be where I was. And I was sitting about next to a bunch of people in detox that some of them did federal time, some of them did state time, some of them did county time, and I couldn't relate to them because I didn't do any time. But what I learned about my disease of alcohol, if I keep using, those are my yets. My yets are jail. My yets are institutions. My yets could be death. And it's something that I was fortunate enough to get when I got out of detox. And what I had was, I had the support of a lot of people that loved me that I didn't understand they loved me. And I understood that I had to help myself, so I had to grow up. I was 28 years old. Didn't have a college degree. I had a high school diploma. I was working a job that I probably shouldn't have been in. And then a year and a half later, because of recovery, because I listened and I opened my mind up and I listened to people that were more educated than me in recovery, I listened to what they had to say. And I took some of their advice, and I didn't take all their advice. And every time I didn't take all their advice, I made a mistake. But I didn't drink. Every bad decision I made in my life, most of the time, I was drunk. And when I made good decisions, I wasn't. So for me, it was the alcohol. For some of my family members, it's the drugs. So it's about opportunity. It's not easy work. It takes a whole community, and you got to build that community. And your community isn't hanging on the corner right now. Your community is not hanging on the corner. Because the minute you went away, they didn't say, oh my God, where'd he go? And when you come out, they're not going to say, oh, welcome back. They're not sending you cards and letters and money to you. How you doing? So you got to realize what's that community you got to build. This is an opportunity to build that community around you. In the city of Boston, we created what's called the Office of Returning Citizens. Kevin Sibley's here, our director. That office is for you. That office is for you to create opportunities, not only with Sheriff Tompkins and Michael and what they do, what you do here, this institution does for you. When you get out, we will wrap it around because we were all together and we talked about this office. Our Office of Public Safety has programs like Operation Exit and Professional Pathways. Operation Exit is a pathway into the building trades. And we have the laborers and the ironworkers and the carpenters and the plumbers and the pipe fitters and everyone sitting at the table worrying about making sure they create opportunities for people to get into the building trades. Because the building trades believes in second chances. Regardless of what you did to get you here, the building trades will overlook that and say, okay, how do we help people? If you're serious about turning your life around and if you're serious about making sure that you do the right things, that opportunity is going to be there. We're reaching out to young people at risk. This morning we announced that the police department, we announced more youth service grants to help organizations like ROCA to prevent young people from ending up in jail in the first place. Our goal needs to be prevention. This P.E.A.C.E unit will play a unique role in reaching young people and young men, no matter where they are, that no other program can reach. For that reason, it's going to make a really unique difference in young men's lives and their families and the young people I'm talking to today. It's going to reduce violence on our streets. It's going to make our community safer. I want you just to think about this for a minute when you get to go home. You might feel that you have nobody to talk to. And there's other young people that feel there's no one to talk to. Why don't you be the young men that talk to the young men that don't have anyone to talk to? Become their mentors. Show them a way that is different than your path. Because I don't think anyone wakes up in the morning and says, well, I want to end up in South Bay. Or I want to go to Nashua Street. Or I might want to go to do a stint in Walpole or go to Norfolk. Or maybe I even want to go federal time. No one wakes up and thinks that in the morning. I don't think anyone here has. This is an opportunity. This program, this unit is an opportunity that somebody dropped in your lap to completely change the outcome of your life and your family's life for generations to come. I am honored that the City of Boston is a partner here, and I want to thank the Sheriff for allowing us the opportunity, the City of Boston the opportunity to be part of this incredible program, because we know that it's going to change lives. Thank you, Sheriff.
So before we have some of the gentlemen come up to give a short testimony as to their experience, I want to give a couple of shout outs to the officers that are actually working with these young men and working in the unit. That would be Captain Gorman, Officer McDaniels, Officer Joyce, Officer Almonte, and all of the officers that you see here and that are working these units and working here to help people help themselves. Can we please give them a round of applause? Two gentlemen that really work with these guys mightily is Truciala. I believe you know Truci over here. And the deacon, Mr. Val Harris, in the house. And I would also like to ask you to give the gentlemen in the P.E.A.C.E unit a round of applause because they get it and they're really trying to make their lives better. With that said, I'm going to ask Truci to come on to the microphone, say a little something, and introduce your fellas. Truciala.
Good morning, everyone. I have the pleasure and honor to serve as the Assistant Deputy Superintendent of the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, overseeing the Peace Unit with the blessing of our sheriff. In the spirit of gratuity of the Peace Unit, I just want to say thank you to all the partner organizations that come in and help us do what we do in the unit. I see ROCA, I see YOU. There's another gentleman, the People's Academy, Sheriff. T. Michael Thomas, he came in and did a presentation. Yeah, give it up. I know I saw Deb Warren from Parole, Deputy Commissioner Coelho somewhere in the back. On behalf of the sheriff, the command staff, we just want to say thank you. We couldn't be the Peace Unit without you and without our partner organizations, so thank you. The first presenter that I'm going to bring to the microphone, we call him Triple OG. You're going to see his ID in a minute. He's been a great contributor to the Peace Unit from day one. We all went to training together, the mentors, the security and non-security staff alike, to get the concept of this new unit that we're doing. Without further delay, for the time's sake, please welcome Mr. Keith Merriman.
Good afternoon, everybody. I got on board with the program from day one, and you know, we had some challenges, overcame some challenges, but as a mentor, you know, I wear many hats, and what I like about the program is, just like the sheriff said, you see the words peace, and I always juggle around that last letter, the E, can be encouragement, empowerment, but for me, the word that sticks out is equity. I see what the program has to provide, and it's putting value in my peers. Value that's going to increase their success rate once they leave here. And it also creates faith. Faith in knowing that if I go for a job, I can get there. If I want to go to school, I can go there. If I want to open my business, I can do that. And the other thing with the faith is knowing that you don't have to come in this back gate no more. Peace.
Next, we're going to bring up one of the mentors who actually works with, or mentees, I should say, who works with Keith and Arliss and Joshua on the Peace Unit. His name is Mr. Carl Clinton.
So I was asked a question this morning. What does the Peace Unit mean to me? What do I receive? Well, it's many different things. I received a number of coping mechanisms. I received opportunities for schooling and college credit that I wouldn't have received anywhere else. But more often than anything else, I received a brotherhood with my fellow participants in this program. We have developed a mutual respect for each other. And above that, we've developed a respect for ourselves. They demand excellence from us in the program, not because they need it, but because they know we can achieve it. And that sort of encouragement allows us to believe that we can demand that excellence in other people in the way that they treat us, because we treat ourselves with that excellence. And in addition to all of that, we can believe that coming out of this jail, we are more than this uniform. We are more than the jumpsuit, and we don't have to return. Thank you.
And last but least, to button us up from the mentor-mentee segment of today's program, the next gentleman I'm going to introduce, he was one of our first release returning citizens. He served as a mentor. He also went through the training with us. He's out now working in the construction trade, as well as, where else are you working? P.F. Chang's, so service, go in there and tip him well. this young man we're so proud of. He came back, and I think he brought a loved one with him. He's recently out, maybe 30 days. Please help me receive Mr. Terry Cox.
Hi everybody, my name's Terry Carter, and I don't know if I could be like what Carl just said, because he definitely killed it. But I wrote something just in case I was able to speak, and I'm just going to read from it. First, I'd like to say, this may seem crazy, but I've never been more excited to come back into South Bay House of Correction. These young men are my brothers, and I want nothing but for all of them to be released and to be better men once they are reintegrated into society. Being a mentor has made me a better father, sibling, son, but most importantly, a better man. The definition of a man is to be responsible, caring, and emotionally available to your family. P stands for positive energy, always creates elevation. It's simple. As long as you have positive energy, it will create different ways for your life to only go up from there. So continue to take advantage of everything the unit has to offer. Because Trucy, Val Harris, Superintendent Yolanda Smith, Officer McDaniels, and Officer Almanzi genuinely cares about each and every one of you. For 20 years, I wasn't sure what I was put on this earth to do, but I finally realized that I was put here to share my story with the young men, troubled men, teens, and give them guidance and hope. So my brothers, just know that I'm not satisfied where I'm at today. I'm truly trying to grow each and every day. I will not get complacent because there's always room for improvement and growth. So remember to always have positive energy because it will create a new way for your life to elevate. Thank you.
So you get it, as we close down, this is what we're trying to do. Please tell your friends, your families, your colleagues, this is what we're trying to do. It's incumbent upon us to divert people away from this facility. Unfortunately, we've become the de facto mental health, substance abuse, and in some cases, education systems. You shouldn't have to be incarcerated to get the services that we're trying to provide. But if you're here, we're going to provide them. And I ask the families to work in tandem with us to make sure that as guys leave here, they go home, that they have that continuum of care, because that's crucially important also. One last shout out I want to give Mr. Gary Bracey a shout out here. Gary works with us insofar as helping individuals test and test up. And as was mentioned earlier, a number of the trades, in fact, I was talking to Sean from the Teamsters, Marty, and what he said to me was, he says, we don't have a problem with guys and ladies that have been incarcerated. What we have a problem with is once they get here, if they don't know how to comport themselves professionally, that's the problem. So we are a nation of second chances. We are a commonwealth of second chances. We are a city of second chances. As I close, I believe there's going to be some tours. I think some of you will be able to go and see the P.E.A.C.E unit. And what I will say to the media is some of the gentlemen sitting in the back 2 rows should not be photographed. They hadn't, their release forms haven't been received yet. So please don't. I believe the gentlemen in the first 3 rows, they have submitted their release forms so you can photograph them. I want to thank everybody for coming today. Please let the word go far and wide that the City of Boston, the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office is not doing business as usual any longer. It's a new day. Peace.